Welcome to the Life, Law, and Little Ones podcast. I'm your host, Ebony. I'm an attorney, professor, and entrepreneur, but my most important role is being a wife and mother of 5 amazing children. As a woman who wears many hats, I know firsthand how being a mom and balancing work and family can present its challenges. I learned rather quickly not to stress the small stuff and just enjoy the season I'm in. I created this podcast to help mothers find work-life balance while juggling life, career, and family. Join me every week as I provide tips, knowledge, and insight to help inspire you to create a more balanced and productive lifestyle that you deserve.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Life, Law, and Little Ones. On today's episode, I want to talk about how to consciously live by design and not by default. We are approaching the end of the year. Tomorrow is the new year, and the holidays just passed. And typically, many of us find ourselves creating New Year's resolutions filled with promises, personal goals on how we want to improve our lives. While New Year's resolutions are great, not many of us actually follow through. And that's because we set goals, but we do not create a plan to help facilitate how we plan to achieve the same goal. Having goals is the first step in living by design and not by default, but it's very important not to simply set the goal, but more importantly, to execute it. So how do we do that? You have to design and map out step by step how you plan to achieve your goal. For example, if your goal is to lose 20 pounds, write out how you plan to lose the 20 pounds. I will go to the gym 3 times a week. I will cut back on those sugary drinks. I will stop eating after 7 p.m. Whatever you plan to do, just write it under your goal. That's the first step. Once you have mapped out your step-by-step plan, you need to put it into practice. Execute it. Just do it. And you have to be disciplined. Remember, a goal without a plan or action is just a wish. So if you are going to actually see change and see improvements, you're going to have to work for it. You have to set goals and actually achieve them. And that's going to take action. So as we enter into 2020 and this new decade, make the decision to create the life you want to live. And do not accept anything less. The decision to design the life you want and love, it's within you. I chose to design the last 10 years of my life, and I will do the same for the next 10 and beyond, by God's grace. So what's next? How do we actually design our lives? I know that many people create vision boards, and for them, it's helpful because it helps to visualize their goals. If you're a visual person, then creating an actual vision board might work well because you can actually see what you have chosen your goals to be. I think vision boards are great, but I do think that it's important to take it a step further and create a roadmap, or what I'm calling a goal map. And your goal map, they're your directions. These are the steps you plan to take to achieve your goals. It's like your GPS. Your GPS directs you to your destination. So I've chosen to goal map for 2020, and I've also chosen to goal map for the next 10 years overall. So what I'm doing is I'm setting specific goals that I will achieve for the next year. And I'm setting specific goals that I must have already achieved at the end of the next decade. So for example, I want to pay off all my student debt by the end of the decade. So I'm not restricting myself to taking the entire 10 years to pay off my student debt. I can surely choose to pay it off sooner if I'm capable. I'm simply choosing to make it my goal that by 2030, I will have 0 student debt. So that's one example. Another example may be paying off a mortgage if you have one, or scaling your business purchasing a home or an investment property. No matter what the goal is, be sure that you are creating a goal map for that goal. So for my student debt example, my goal mapping will show, one, the balance of my student loan debt. It will also show how much I need to pay each month for that time period in order to pay it off, and how I plan to make the extra money to pay it off. So that extra money can come from an additional side hustle, maybe teaching an extra class each semester or taking an extra 2 business clients. Whatever I decide, I have to write it down and hold myself accountable and execute the plan. So if you've been following me on social media and all my social media platforms, or you've listened to other episodes, you know I'm big on having a to-do list. A great way to hold yourself accountable is to incorporate your goal map into your to-do list. So if your goal is to lose 20 pounds and your goal map instructs you to go to the gym a minimum of 3 days a week, better put exercise on your to-do list. If your goal map was to save an extra $100 a month, then on your to-do list, you should commit to making maybe your coffee at home every day instead of just buying it from Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks. Although these examples may sound simple and easy, the truth is the biggest and most important part of designing your life is being mindful. When designing the life you want for yourself, your mindset is everything. Remember, you are consciously creating the kind of life you want, and therefore you have to align your mind with your goals. You're choosing to become the person you want to be. And to do that, you have to align your mind with your goal. For me, I give myself daily reminders of who I am and who I plan to be. I continuously affirm the new reality that I'm creating for myself. Another important thing to do as you design your life for the new year is to reflect on your current year and how it went before making the plans for the new year. What did you learn? What are some of the takeaways that you can incorporate for the new year? Reflection is important because it allows you to learn and grow. I do this every year, and I try to be intentional about avoiding making some of the same mistakes or continuing habits that I didn't like from the previous year. It's not always easy to do a reflection because it requires us to admit certain mistakes and or flaws that we have or we made. But it's necessary and it's important because it's the way and the step to take towards making change and towards growth. So I'm glad that, you all took the time, with me this evening to listen to this episode. And I'm hoping that as you decide to design your life, you can incorporate some of the tips that I've shared with you. And you can also include some of your own tips if you have some really good tips that will help you personally design the life that you want for the next year. Whatever it is, just make sure that you have a plan, make sure that you commit to it, make sure you're consistent, and believe in yourself that you are going to be able to achieve those goals for the new year. So, I wish all of you great things for the new year. I pray that you all achieve your goals and your aspirations and that you have good health, peace of mind, and happiness in the new year. God bless.